Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Sharna Southern. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode.
Welcome to today's episode. Today, I am sharing a video from my Nurture Your Nervous System After Pregnancy Loss online program. Full program details are in the show notes. Let's begin.
Hello, beautiful souls. So today I want to talk to you about triggers and the nervous system. So essentially with triggers, I know it is very easy to want to ignore and avoid them because they're not nice, they are painful, and they can, bring back that pain. But essentially a trigger is an activation. So it is an activation of something that you already have within you. Now, with trauma and navigating that, it is even more of a point to be able to show our body that it is safe to feel these emotions and to sit with them. Because what's happening is when we have these external events, it's triggering a activation, it's triggering the stress response. But if we choose not to do anything with that, we kind of get stuck in that triggered stress response from our nervous system. We don't ever give ourselves the chance to complete that stress response loop. So when we have this activation, it's going to bring up an emotion, a thought, a belief about yourself. There's a meaning that's attached to that. There's also physical sensations that are attached to that as well. So it's really understanding how that is all presenting for you in a physical sense too. But we can get very good at choosing to push all of that inside of us. And when we choose to push all of that inside of us, what happens is then we can we're dysregulating our nervous system and causing our body to be in a hypervigilance state. So the definition of hypervigilance is the elevated state of constantly assessing potential threats around you. And it's often the result of trauma. So also people with PTSD, this is how this all feeds into PTSD as well, which is what I'm going to cover in another video. But if we choose to ignore the triggers, ignore the emotions that come up and avoid it all, what we're doing is we're actually pushing it away from us and dissociating from it. So we're cutting off sort of any sensation towards, those things and kind of numbing ourselves out to, that emotion, that, piece, that external piece of activation. And as humans, we have a very strong aversion to emotional pain. But it's also when we choose to push it out here, we can keep an eye on it from out here and make sure that something similar doesn't happen again in the future. But from that day forward, when you choose to not see that emotion or, thought or belief, you are choosing then to look over your shoulder. Your body then is always going to be scanning the internal environment and external environment for those cues of danger. And you will remain in that hypervigilance state. When at the beginning of your healing and recovery, it would have been a natural kind of response from your body to shut out pieces of the events that would be too overwhelming for your body to cope with. But when we choose to push and dissociate from these emotions, um, it's because it's overwhelming in that moment and you can't integrate that experience because it doesn't feel safe for you to do so. It feels too big and it feels too scary and too painful. But unless we have the capacity to process what's happening, it will stay out here, it will stay a trigger, it will stay dissociated. And at any given moment, it can come back to us when it is activated and overwhelm our system. It will shut us down in that moment. And when we are in that hypervigilance state, you're always going to have that hum of a stress response going on in the background. So it won't take much for something in your external environment to trigger you, to tip you over the edge and tip your nervous system into the fight or flight response or the freeze um, or shutdown response. So it'll be very easy for you to tip over into one or the other, and it will overwhelm your system. So, what happens when we have these traumatic events is it leaves a traumatic imprint on our nervous system. And every time we are triggered, it triggers that imprint, it triggers that emotion, it activates all of that. And we have to be able to witness what is actually happening, but in a really safe environment. So, obviously, creating a safe environment for yourself to be able to start to witness those emotions and the reasons why you felt so triggered by something that happened on the outside of you or something that someone said that triggered you or something that you saw. When we keep it out here and we keep it dissociated and we keep choosing to avoid it, it remains in hypervigilance, waiting to come up at any given moment. And what happens is 9% of the time, when it comes back up, we go into overwhelm because you haven't been able to develop the capacity to contain it, experience it, or integrate it. And unless we develop that capacity, it stays dissociated and it stays a trigger that keeps coming up over and over again and it keeps repeating those patterns. So, taking the tools that you learned in the previous video about your emotions and how to start to recognize what it is that you're feeling, also on a day to day basis, understanding and recognize those sensations that are going on inside of you. Do you have that hum of anxiety happening in the background? Are little things triggering you and triggering maybe that stress or that anxiety or that overwhelm or that shutdown, making you freeze, making you pull away, making you feel numb? Are little things happening through your day that you can recognize that for yourself and recognize actually what is happening inside of you? You can start to use your neuroception to understand your internal environment, start to understand what type of stress response your body is navigating, what those emotions are, and then choose to look at your triggers, choose to look at what has activated you, your emotions, and what is the meaning that has been attached to that. And again, try and create this in a really safe environment for yourself. So you're not at work, you're not feeling like you're being surrounded by people, or you're not down the street when you're trying to do this, especially in the early stages when you're trying to do this. But really, instead of continuously pushing these emotions, these triggers, and avoiding them, dissociating from all of that and numbing ourselves out, we do need to start to bring them in and welcome them, view them through the lens of love and compassion and kindness, and look to understand what is actually happening for you and your body, because they are a part of us and they're a part that wants to be seen. So, and when you do choose to see it, the next time that emotion is activated, that imprint is activated, it won't be so intense, it won't be so overwhelming, and it's not going to knock you off your feet. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please pop them below the video, or you can reach out to me, and I look forward to supporting you in the next video.
Remember to check the show notes for the program details of the Nurture Your Nervous System After Pregnancy Loss online program.
Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at instituteofhealing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.